destroy the planet to make people rich machine is back on track.
A few wealthy bankers who own the earth. Here's Lord Astor Rockerchild the 11th, speaking at a conference to decide how to get rid of poor people and keep war factories open. That should be how to kill peasant scum and keep making money. How to distract the population from slavery whilst ensuring their slavery. Nice. Anyway, here's Lord Astor.
Hello, Lord Rockerchild, or may I call you Master? You may. Master, it's hard to believe, given your infinite wealth and undeniable influence, that you're not pulling a few strings here and there on planet Earth at the moment. Is there any truth in these wacky conspiracy theories? It's all true. You exist only to serve us. We own you, you are our cattle, your lives are insignificant and irrelevant. We allow you to live only insofar as it suits our purposes, and when it doesn't, we will dispose of you, like rubbing out doodles. Your lives are ours to give or take away as we choose. I see. Well, so would there be any truth in the rumor that many of us will soon be killed in a nuclear war, and the ones who are left will be microchipped, so your rule over us is more absolute and more convenient?
What a load of nonsense. We already control you completely with alcohol, sport, TV and takeaway food. Why would we make our lives more complicated with all that microchip rubbish? None of you are going anywhere we don't want you to. As for population reduction, it's an attractive idea, but so much the better for us if you all starve to death. While we blame it on the economy. The prolonged suffering of millions gives me such a stiffy. I can hardly wait for the next meeting of the inner circle when we'll all be getting off on the misery of your squalid little lives.
You're very welcome, Master. One last question. How do you cope with all the protests and calls to expose you and your shadowy rule?
The opposition to us is ineffective and poorly organised. They throw rocks at the police, make websites and videos with a great pyramid and some snappy rock music. Like that's going to change anything. We own your money, your police, your armies, the very ground beneath your feet. Don't waste your time trying to fight us. Your death will simply be longer and more painful.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's not beat around the bush. The economy sucks. Growth is down and poverty is beginning to spread to the middle classes. Now, you all know what happens when those whinging tossers suffer just a little bit. It's moan, moan, fucking moan. Before you know it, they'll be articulately questioning why all the habitable land on Earth is owned by us, a few wealthy families. And we don't want that, do we? It's been proposed that we declare war on extraterrestrials in order to increase fear, insecurity and military spending. Now, it doesn't matter if aliens exist or not. Let me remind you, the global terrorists don't exist. Well, except us, of course. And look how much money they made for us. So, after declaring war on ET, we create some kind of fake attack on a city that's going down anyway as sea levels rise, London, Tokyo, New York, that sort of place. And then we say, ET did it. It's bloody marvellous. We flash a couple of grainy pictures, loop the video from the fake attack on TV. It works every time, I assure you. So, now, this will mean massive spending on our corporate war machine. I mean defence budgets. And as millions of dumb smucks join space marines from all over Earth, we'll be able to send them to their deaths on the dark side of the moon, where the alien bases are. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. This is not only good for the economy, but it thins out the number of peasants. Spiffing good idea. We could go on forever. Well, at least until real aliens turn up to share their technology with humankind and show us how to live in peace and harmony. Then I'm afraid we're all fucked. But until then, no one can stop us. It'll be almost as good as the 2 world wars we faked, or that 9/11 thingy the Bushes cooked up. Anyway, chin chin.
Well, it's been a great crisis, hasn't it? Really it has. Well, for us anyway. So, instead of your national government issuing bonds in exchange for us printing money, which was a pretty good deal for us, national bonds will now be done away with.
Instead, we will print euros, and everybody who uses the euro will be in debt to us. This, in effect, makes us your government, but of course we'll leave the undignified business of education and healthcare to some flunkies that you elect. Meanwhile, we'll wheel and deal your debt slavery around the world as part of a much more efficient global fuckonomics we're preparing. It's very good, you know. But don't worry, you'll still be able to ignore your shadowy puppet master's rule and indulge your consumerist desires at the shops. In fact, we couldn't do this if you didn't, so remember to keep shopping and not give a fuck about your slavery. We hope the transition to a European super state will be a smooth one, but if not, there's plenty of fascist laws and police state machinery to deal with dissent. So, just to recap, the euro crisis is fake, so we can control all of Europe through the issuing of debt via one central bank. Nice. It's a bit like America, but with nicer wine and smaller streets. Your wishes are of course irrelevant, and if you don't like it, you can still elect a bunch of tossers to tell you bedtime stories about prosperity and democracy. Yes. Business will carry on as usual, and the whole thing will be sold to you as a fantastic resolution to a problem we created. And you scum will celebrate it like we did you a favor. Now, fuck off and pay your taxes or we'll raise interest rates. Toodle pip, suckers.
Thanks for all the bailouts. I must say I'm very pleased with the economic crisis and how our employees, your leaders, have handled it. You really are a bunch of poorly educated lowbrows, aren't you? First you stand by while we gamble your deposits away or lend them to buy worthless shit and lose the money. Then you pay the bill for us and let us carry on running the banks and collecting our paychecks. Jolly good. Unbelievable. You know, it was a touch and go whether we could get your handlers, governments, to persuade you to buy our bankrupt companies before the true size of the debt was known. But you fell for the whole credit crunch story like patsies at a fairground sting. Oh, well, it's the best crisis since the 30s when we took over your national currencies and did away with asset-backed finance. Now, we're well on our way to saddling you and your children's children with all of the debt and losses we've made since deregulation in the 90s. Really, it's marvellous. I would thank you, but I'm so privileged and beyond caring about you, I'm just going to laugh some more and have another glass of bubbly. Chin chin.
We couldn't be much happier with the way things have worked out, you know. I personally thought it would be much harder to saddle all you peasants with trillions and trillions of toxic liabilities. That's debt to you and me. Ensuring your children and your children's children get born, work, shop and die for myself and a few other wealthy banking families. But you live and learn, yes. It's a source of great pride and no little entertainment to me and my cohorts that you have been royally fucked. Oh yes. Not that you weren't before, you know. But the scale of the economic lie, the audacity of the proposition and the end result is simply mind-boggling, gut-wrenchingly funny. Not only were you forced by law to give up currencies based upon precious metals some time ago, actually, leaving you deluded paupers, not only were you chaperoned into an economy based upon debt by the very people who profit from that debt. My goodness me, it really doesn't get any better than this. Not only, but when the shit hit the fan, you were quickly persuaded to take on the losses of the failed make shit, eat shit economy so we could carry on regardless. I say. We'll leave Lord Astor Rockerchild the 11th there. More on that story later.
One bond to rule them all. One bond to find them. One bond to bring them all, and in the deadness bind them. The Lord of the Bond Dependence. A story set in Middle-earth. I mean Europe. Yes, it's the continuing story of attempts to make Europe into one nation under debt. It's so inconvenient having all those elected governments fiddle about with your monetary policy. What we need is a simple, easy way to fuck the people of Europe over for a buck and simplify global currency trading. A nice, streamlined, one-debt-fits-all kind of solution. Something bankers approve of that doesn't need democracy or the will of the people getting in the way. A solution that will do away with the unpleasant sovereignty of Middle-earth. After all, the Irish hobbits don't need to bother with all that complicated governing yourself rubbish. Now they've voted yes to austerity. Yes, what we need is the final solution. Sorry, that should be financial solution. Yeah, come on, get on with it, Europe. Just roll over and give it up. You want shops and food and electricity, don't you? You want public services and cheap consumer goods from China, eh? Well, all you have to do is abandon self-government to a few wealthy banking families. What's so bad about that? We'll take care of you, honest. We'll make sure you don't borrow too much. Privatize everything. We'll make sure your population take part in our vast shopping enterprise. It's a legitimate business. We'll take care of the poor and the unemployed. Labor camps. We'll take care of the sick and the old. Religious charity. We'll merge your borders and unify your global identity. Come on now, think about it. A Euro army. Nice ring to it, eh? United States of Europe. Sound good? What have you got to lose anyway? We'll still let you compete as separate nations at the Olympics, honest. And you can take shots at all being president. Hey, we don't care about that shit as long as we get to print the money, okay? So, how about it? What am I saying? It's almost as if we're asking you permission. Let me put it another way. Get back to the negotiating table, you debt-ridden, pissant little bureaucrats, and bang out fiscal unity and a euro bond, or we'll bankrupt you fuckers one by one. Okay? Have it a nice day.
Do you want debt? Do you want totem debt? Oodles of debt? Trillions of debt? A debt so large that one country could not bear it alone. Then the solution is to exterminate all undesirable national bonds and replace them with one master bond for the whole of Europe. This pure euro bond will allow us to enslave the whole population of Europe with one investment in your slavery, instead of the disgusting multinational sovereign bonds we currently have to deal with. This will be the final solution to national debt. This will be the beginning of one uber debt as we bail out banks and countries. We are building the future of the countries of Europe. We bail, giving us total control over all the financial affairs of the countries of Europe, instead of Greece being a slave to a few wealthy banking creditors. Now we rule all the nations, and we will owe so much money to the bankers that slavery will unite us into one vast herd of economics livestock, one super race of debt slaves, one pure Reich of shopping zombies. Mein Führer!